My partner of 7 years left me just 6 months before our wedding when my business was struggling. It is worth noting that I was overweight at the time of our meeting and I remained that way throughout our relationship. However, she never ceased to criticize my weight and constantly compared me to her previous partners who were in better shape. On the day she left, she brought up how she had never been attracted to me. Despite her professed physical attraction to me and the fact that my business was experiencing a downturn, she did not foresee a future with me. Approximately 1 month after the dissolution of our relationship, I discovered that she had been engaging in an adulterous affair with one of my regular clients, a wealthy individual who had been her paramour for at least a year. Over the subsequent 3 to 4 months, I experienced an intense period of emotional distress, akin to the pain and sadness I had never previously experienced. However, this was soon supplanted by a powerful surge of anger, accompanied by a strong desire for vengeance. It is important to note that I am a hands-on person, and I believe that this approach to conflict resolution is the most effective. I am of the opinion that gaining knowledge is crucial to achieving results. Consequently, I embarked on a mission to educate myself as much as possible about fitness and apply it to transform my own body. In summary, I became completely obsessed with fitness in just 3 years. I managed to go from weighing 450 pounds with over 55% body fat to a lean 200 pounds with 7% body fat and a solid physique. The remarkable thing is that throughout this entire journey, she had no idea of what I was doing or what I had accomplished. I made the decision to move to a different country. I had closed down my business and wanted to pursue a better future elsewhere. A few months after settling in the new country, I received a surprising request from a major newspaper back in my home country. They asked me to give an interview for an article about young immigrants. I was unaware that the photo I provided them with would end up on the cover of the newspaper. Suddenly, I started getting tagged on social media. People who hadn't seen me in a long time couldn't believe their eyes. The news spread until it reached my ex. My partner purchased the newspaper, and a mutual friend who happened to be there witnessed her shocked reactions. Her jaw literally dropped to the floor and she was unable to stop asking how this could be possible and if the photo was real. I later heard from friends that she was complaining to everyone who knew us. I should note that I am planning to compete in a fitness competition within the next year or so I will be sending her a signed photo, even though I have completely moved on from her. This is my second such experience. In my new country, I encountered a young woman with whom I developed a profound attachment. Prior to this, I had not been involved in a romantic relationship for an extended period, largely due to personal challenges and a preoccupation with my fitness pursuits. I was introduced to this individual through a family member, and she initially appeared to be an ideal partner. However, it required significant reassurance from her to rebuild my emotional trust. Before long, I began envisioning a future with her, and we entered into a committed relationship. Despite her positive attributes, she exhibited certain personality traits that made her difficult to interact with. These included a tendency to be judgmental, immature, and display OCD tendencies. Furthermore, she exhibited behaviors that may have indicated borderline personality disorder. She demonstrated difficulty in expressing her feelings openly and held unconventional views on relationships, marriage, and having children. In contrast, I was supportive of marriage and starting a family. Her lack of experience in serious relationships made this situation more challenging. Despite the negative aspects, she possessed some admirable qualities that contributed to my continued involvement in the relationship. There were instances when she displayed kindness and care. However, the relationship suddenly ended after 4 years when I proposed marriage and she was unable to accept. Instead of a direct rejection, she proceeded to list all of my faults and shortcomings, enumerating them at length. The primary issue she identified was my relative newness to the country and my lack of established financial stability, including the fact that I did not yet own a house or have a substantial bank account. She even went so far as to furthermore, she stated that in the event of my losing my job, which was a satisfactory position in a reputable company, it would be challenging for me to secure another role, with all the responsibilities falling on her. The rejection was multifaceted and, without a doubt, this separation was the most painful experience I have ever undergone. This was the most distressing experience I have ever endured. The pain was so intense that it felt as though my soul was torn in two. The lack of support from my family and friends made the situation even more challenging. The distress was so profound that I experienced intense physical pain, lost track of time for months on end, and sank into a deep depression. Eventually, I reached my breaking point and underwent a significant transformation. I completely shed my old self and emerged as a different person. I made a conscious decision to achieve career goals that most people would consider impossible. Through it has been approximately 1.5 years since I first conceived of my plan of revenge. During this period, I have made significant strides in improving my life. I have increased my income considerably, purchased a comfortable apartment in a desirable neighborhood, and finally obtained the vehicle and motorcycle that I have long desired. Additionally, I am currently engaged in the establishment of 2 companies, one in the field of consulting and another in the technology industry. The latter company has recently received a substantial valuation, and our objective is to ensure its success. Furthermore, I have had the opportunity to interact with numerous individuals who have achieved remarkable success and have formed valuable friendships. With them, I am aware that revenge is a dish best served cold. Despite the fact that it has not yet been fully achieved, I am not bothered by this. I would like to express my immense gratitude towards these 2 women, despite their rejection and the pain they cause me. Their actions have motivated me to push myself, explore new possibilities, and exceed my own limitations. They have opened my eyes and provided me with the motivation to pursue my dreams. It has been 5 years. In the week since the day everything changed for me, I have experienced a roller coaster of emotions. My wife and I have been together for 23 years and are both in our early 60s. We were previously married. Over the years, we have faced a few challenges, but we have remained strong and overcome them together. Our relationship has only grown stronger over time. Currently, we are empty nesters who spend a lot of time together and have an active and satisfying bed life. We got married when she was 37 and I was 40. Both parties were aware of the other's romantic history, and this has never been a source of contention throughout their relationship. They have occasionally shared anecdotes about their pasts, but this was not a mandatory practice. Neither party felt the need to inquire about the number of partners involved or to delve into explicit details about their previous experiences. However, approximately 2 months ago, a shift occurred, and they began engaging in more casual conversations about their past relationships and partners. My wife, in particular, seemed to have a strong urge to share everything she could remember about her own experiences. I found these conversations quite fascinating and enjoyable, as she had some amusing stories to tell, and some of this prompted me to inquire further. We continued sharing stories for approximately 2 weeks until one Saturday morning, while she was styling her hair at her dressing table, she informed me that she felt she had shared everything about her past with me. She then added, "You probably know more about me than anyone except myself." I could see that this was indeed the case. Her reflection in the mirror enabled her to see mine. I responded with a jocular query as to whether she had ever been unfaithful to me. Her expression altered, her eyes averted, and she responded with a monosyllabic, "I can't answer that." She then added, "But I can't lie to you either." The subsequent revelation caused me profound distress and eroded the sense of security I had established over the course of our 23-year relationship. The following account details the events that transpired during the course of their year-long relationship. Several months after the couple had wed, she was required to travel to Florida for a custody hearing with her former partner. She was overcome with trepidation and apprehension as she was compelled to represent herself in court, while her former partner had secured the services of a formidable attorney. The plan was for her to fly down the day before the hearing, spend the night, and then attend the hearing the following day. At a motel, attend the hearing early the next day and then fly back home in the evening on the day of her trip. She landed in Florida, picked up a rental car, and drove to the motel where she had booked a room. She intentionally chose a motel near a beautiful beach that she used to visit when she was still married to her ex. My wife enjoyed strolling along the beach. The presence of beaches along the coastline evoked a sense of peace and tranquility. On her way to the beach, she made a stop at a liquor store to purchase a beverage to calm her nerves in anticipation of the upcoming custody hearing. She was not a teetotaler, yet she did not consume alcohol to excess. She spent a couple of hours walking on the beach and sipping her rum. She spent several hours walking on the beach, sipping her rum. At some point, she became aware that she was feeling quite buzzed. She then recalled spotting a cute little diner not far from her motel and decided to go there for a meal. Upon entering the diner, she found it nearly empty. She therefore chose to sit alone in a booth. A little while later, a man she described as good-looking approached her. A man with grey hair entered the diner. He appeared to be approximately 45 years of age. He sat in an empty booth across from her and they exchanged greetings while they were eating. They began to chat. He came across as a genuinely pleasant individual. She learned that he was a professional photographer who loved his job. During the course of their conversation, the gentleman in question asked if he might join her in the booth. She did not perceive any impropriety in this request. I had previously informed her that I would have been suspicious at that point, but she believed him to be harmless and enjoyed having someone pleasant to talk to instead of returning to her hotel room and being alone with her thoughts. It should be noted that my wife is naturally trusting and tends to see the best in people rather than assuming the worst. I will refrain from providing most of the details, but she did in fact engage in sexual intercourse with him. She recalls that they consumed a considerable amount of wine. She is not using this as an excuse, and at some point, he initiated physical contact with her. At some point, the man suggested that they take a shower, possibly to sober up both of them. She recalls being quite drunk and the shower water feeling cool or cold. Once they reached his bed, she says that he was too drunk to fully perform, so he couldn't get it in. Whether this is true or not, or whether she is simply withholding this information from me, is unclear. It is likely that I will never know the full details of this incident. However, she has admitted that he was touching her all over and that she performed oral sex on him. Therefore, it seems likely that she is telling the truth. The images that I have in my mind are extremely distressing. She says that by the time they reached his bedroom, she realized that she was doing something very wrong. She thought about backing out, but decided to continue. However, he became quite aggressive, and she realized that she did not really know him at all. Consequently, she decided to simply comply with his demands and bring the encounter to a conclusion. She states that he fell asleep shortly afterwards and began snoring loudly. At that point, she quietly got off the bed, got dressed and left the house without waking him. She says that she cried. Upon returning to the motel, she felt unclean and spent a considerable amount of time in the shower, attempting to clean herself and crying. Some betrayed spouses prefer to remain unaware of the details, while others, like myself, feel a strong need to know everything. I have asked numerous questions, despite the fact that some details may be unclear due to the passage of time. It is possible that some details have been forgotten due to the passage of time. However, since the initial disclosure, she has consistently demonstrated a willingness to provide answers to any questions posed. It is acknowledged that the nature of these inquiries has been challenging for her to address, and the resulting responses have been emotionally distressing for me. Nevertheless, she has consistently demonstrated a willingness to engage in this process. She has acknowledged my right to inquire and has been accommodating in attempting to provide responses. She has expressed regret on numerous occasions and is dedicated to rebuilding my trust in our marriage. She acknowledges that although she no longer dwells on the incident frequently, it did cause her significant distress for an extended period. Despite her desire to inform me of the incident, she was reluctant to do so due to concerns about causing distress. However, when I directly inquired about her infidelity 5 weeks ago, she was unable to deny it. She has since affirmed that she has never engaged in such conduct and that I have no reason to doubt her. There have been no indications or suspicions of any such occurrence since. Subsequently, she has consistently assumed responsibility for her actions without offering any excuses. Despite the passage of more than 2 decades since the incident in question, the profound shock, pain, anger, and disappointment I have been experiencing have not diminished in intensity. When she disclosed the matter to me, it felt as if it had just occurred the night before. Prior to her acknowledgement, I had assumed that, despite the passage of over 20 years, the incident remained fresh in her mind. However, I now perceive that it continues to have a profound impact on her. The intrusive thoughts, which initially occurred with great frequency, have now diminished to a rate of approximately 8 or 10 instances per day. This is a notable improvement, although it is still a considerable number. I recently came across an article that the article also discussed how the loss of intimacy is often the most challenging aspect for a man to overcome when his wife cheats on him. I believe that the loss of intimacy was the main factor in my wife's one-night stand. According to her, the experience was not even satisfying because the other man was selfish and focused only on his own pleasure. I wish she could explain why she did it. She was unable to provide a clear explanation for her actions, despite my attempts to elicit a response. She suggested that she was strongly attracted to him and that, given her distance from home and the likelihood of not seeing him again, she decided to engage in a casual encounter. While I can comprehend this rationale to some extent, she has consistently maintained that she had no intention of engaging in any further physical intimacy with him. When she visited his house, she believes alcohol played a significant role in her actions. However, she emphasizes that she does not want to use this as an excuse. She acknowledges that what she did was wrong, regardless of whether she was drunk or not. In a strange way, I consider myself fortunate when I compare my situation to others. In contrast, my wife had a one-night encounter with a man who lived 1,200 miles away from us. There was no ongoing affair or emotional connection involved. She never had any further contact with him. She is unable to provide a clear explanation for her actions, but she does not attempt to justify them. She emphasizes that it was a one-time occurrence. This incident occurred in the past and has no bearing on her actions prior to or since. I love her deeply and believe that she feels the same way about me. We have spent 23 years together and are committed to moving forward and working together to build a marriage that is forever changed but stronger and better than ever before. She constantly tells me how sorry she is and expresses her love for me on numerous occasions a day. I had made up my mind that I wouldn't forgive her unless I genuinely felt forgiveness in my heart, and it took me a couple of weeks after I am writing this in the hope that it will help me to forgive her. I am aware that she is fully aware of the wrongness of her actions and that she deeply regrets them. If she had the chance, she would take it all back instantly. I also know that she truly understands the extent of the pain she caused me. This is something I will never forget. I am writing this because I don't really have anyone I can talk to about it. I felt the need to share it with someone. She managed to overcome the powerful lawyer and won the custody battle.